your power change, your influence change, and all these things. Hopefully you could use them in a positive way where you and your team could benefit from it.
Did Meek Mill finally decide to set aside the beef he had with his ex-mentor and homie Rick Ross, or is the deal he had with MMG, Maybach Music Group, still making problems for him? That's one of the questions that we've all been asking lately. Also, what is Meek Mill doing right now with Dreamchasers Records? Was the deal he made with Jay-Z a way to show Rozay not to mess with him? It might as well be the case, it seems like. But before we get to that, let's kick things off with what's really going on between Rick Ross and Meek Mill. We gotta back it up a little bit and see how we got here in the first place. The reason why Rick Ross and Meek Mill got their beef going in the first place is most likely due to the loss of money over a record label contract. There are other possible reasons too, but this is most likely the biggest of them all. So what's the deal? Who cut off who? Where there are albums being produced, there's money coming in, and even though T.I. was the first one who got Meek Mill and made a record deal with him, T.I.'s Grand Hustle never got around to making an album with Meek because he spent 7 months in prison. They parted ways back in 2010. However, in February 2011, all that changed when Rick Ross signed Meek Mill for his record label called Maybach Music Group. Meek Mill signed a contract with Rozay, and all of his 5 albums were produced during this time with MMG. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for long. Last year, Meek started talking about his financial situation on Twitter, and that got a lot of people talking. He tweeted several times about it. "I haven't got paid from music and I don't know how much money labels make off me. I need lawyers ASAP." Then he threatened to make his contract open to the public, saying, "Ask the record label, how much have you spent on me as an artist? Then you ask, how much have you made off of me as an artist? I'm about to make my record deal public by Monday. Just let the world see what these people are." Since Meek is signed to Atlantic, MMG, and Roc Nation, it wasn't absolutely clear about who he was upset with. Rick Ross had something to say about it too. He actually thinks he's still cool with Meek and that Meek thought of Atlantic Records when he tweeted. In an interview for The Morning Hustle, he said,
Be honest, when Meek taking a jab at anybody, the only way I can assume is he doing that at Atlantic Records. All we ever did was get paper, and it's real easy to say a nigga name.
Here we have Rick trying to convince us that Meek has a problem with Atlantic and not MMG. Now, this actually makes sense. A couple of weeks later, Meek got on Twitter again, but this time it was more obvious who he is dissing. In one of his posts on Twitter, he said, "So look, I made Atlantic Records hundreds of millions and let them me out Roddy, a artist they came to me about in jail. They still saying I can't drop music until 9 months after my last album got blackballed. Just rap buildings and Nina art with talent." To be even more precise, he mentioned Rick Ross in a tweet that same day too. He tweeted, "The label separated us instantly when the millions came in from him. Same thing they tried to do with me and Rozay." For those of you who don't know, Meek had tried to sign Roddy Ricch before Atlantic got to him and stole him from Dreamchasers, Meek's own record label. As it often is, as soon as the bucks started coming in, the big fish got their eyes on Roddy and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Some Meek fans still devastated because of all the stuff Meek had to go through in the past and still struggle with getting the recognition he deserves. Damn, the industry is crazy. You will prevail. It was clear as day, Meek was upset and he had all the reasons for it. He took a bad deal and was now on it, realizing it. Even though he can't really blame anyone else but himself for it, he's still suffering as an artist. Might seem like MMG is out of the picture, but that's not exactly the case. Ross and Meek had their fair share of beef still. For example, Meek Mill didn't allow Rozay to enter his birthday party last May at Miami's LIV nightclub. That right there shows us that Meek wants some distance between him and Ricky. Perhaps he wants out of both Atlantic and MMG. It could be that Meek Mill finally got enough of being taken advantage of and is thinking about going independent or at least changing his contracts. That takes us to the second question, and that's Meek Mill's record label. On October 26, 2012, Meek Mill announced the launch of his own record label called Dreamchasers Records. However, it's not a solo venture. In fact, he signed a deal with Jay-Z's Roc Nation. Now, what's the situation like at Dreamchasers? Who's running the show? Yes, it's a joint venture with Roc Nation, but he enjoys the freedom of signing artists. He has full control over the creative strategy when it comes to music, as well as the liberty to do his own marketing. That, however, doesn't change the fact that he's still signed for Atlantic with a deal that he thinks is awful. Until that contract comes to an end, it seems like he'll have a lot of trouble on his mind. If one day Meek Mill gets to both terminate his contracts with MMG and Atlantic and make a name out of Dreamchasers, it would be a big slap to Rozay's face, who was not only a longtime homie, but a mentor too. Let's not forget it was nobody else than Rick Ross who was responsible for boosting Meek's career and making him reach the top of the hip-hop charts. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be possible for Meek. Which brings us to another topic. Some believe Meek should ditch his deal with Roc and Atlantic and stick back to what he used to do, staying close to Rick Ross. Wack 100 spoke on the matter, and he had a lot to say about it.
Detach him from Rick Ross. I think his success lies in attaching himself back to Rick Ross, restructuring a deal that's a little more favorable to him, but He's lacking the thing Rick Ross has been dominating, the cross-branding, the things outside of music.
Wack 100 think Meeks won't succeed solo, working on his own. He thinks he should reconsider his deal with Rozay and stick with him. He should work on his outbranding, building a source of income outside of music, just like Rick Ross did. That's the only way he can build an actual wealth one day and retire rich.
I feel like Meek is starting to build up a resentment to the industry based on all he did, because I think Meek thinks about shit like a hood nigga and not like a businessman.
Academics also believes Mill isn't good at being in the forefront of a record label. One of his Twitch chat discussions with his friends, he spoke about it. He commented, "I feel like Meek is starting to build up resentment to the industry. He think about shit like a and not like a businessman." Academics believes Meek has issues not being on the front page and letting the other people on the label shine. He's still hungry and can't let others get a bite of the fame and success. It's probably the reason why he still didn't sign a superstar member. Fans only seem to be on the same page with Academics. One fan said, "Meek is an example of what happens when you're not boss. His money is broken up between 3 different units, Rock Nation, Maybach Music, and Atlantic. He's a worker, not a boss." This is why Rick Ross is one of the best CEOs from the outside looking in. The dude constantly put Wale and Meek in the front and didn't try to outshine him. Even with Stolly, Rocky Fresh, and Pill gave him shots, they didn't connect with the general public. Meek just been around billionaires and he realized he's not as rich, and he thought he could be making more money on his own. Just get out of the contract and keep pushing, homie. It seems like Meek Mill has a long way to go if he wants to make it work. It takes a business mindset and patience to succeed in the music industry. Are those virtues that Meek seems to be lacking? But what y'all think? Should Meek go back to his day ones like Rozay and try to fix his contract? Should he be more patient and continue with building his own project? Let us know in the comments section down below. And if you like this one, make sure to check out this next one. And as always, don't forget to keep it RIZZLE.